You're going to be a football player when you grow up?
Today is the best day of your life. Believe it.
He might be the finest quarterback produced in the last 10 years.
He someday like that's all I need.
Fortunately for me, I didn't lose my life, didn't lose my job.
Football convinced me that life is a team game.
Rest of your life, nobody can ever tell you that you couldn't do it.
Hi, Mr. Jones.
How you?
Good, how are you?
Are you nervous? Got a little fear?
No.
You ain't got no fear? No. Come on. You got a little fear, though, don't you? Just a little bit.
Maybe just a tiny.
Half a century ago,
Okay, big fella.
on a field not far from here, this man was part of the most feared and famous defensive line in football history.
This is the Fearsome Foursome.
I'm Lamar Lundy, 6'6", 255 pounds.
I'm Roosevelt Greer, and I'm 6 feet 5, weigh 285 pounds.
Deacon Jones, 6 foot 5 inches, 260 pounds.
Marlon Olson, 6'5", 275.
The anchor of the Los Angeles defense is the front four, the Fearsome Foursome.
As you called a game, it became part of the excitement when the defense went on the field.
Lamar Lundy becomes the hero of the night, and it's victory for the Rams.
The Rams have the rush on, and he's dropped by Lamar Lundy, Dave Jones, Rosie Greer.
Lamar Lundy and Rosie Greer.
Olsen in there, Greer in there, along with Jones.
It's that jigsaw puzzle that every coach looks for. How can I fit that piece with this piece? And somehow it all came together with those four.
Those four met my father in 1966 when George Allen became head coach in Los Angeles. I was a little girl dreaming of becoming a football player. My brother Bruce was a Rams ball boy and whipping boy.
I got to feel being inside Disneyland. I mean, these were bigger-than-life characters.
All right. Try to load out there. Let's go, Rosie.
After a tough practice, if Dad went a little long or made him run extra striders, that's what they'd call wind sprints at the end of practice.
Stride it out. All right, pull it out.
I would find myself in a cold water shower, taped up in a laundry hamper, with dirty laundry, too.
43 years after being buried under Deacon's jersey in a laundry bin, Bruce celebrated Deacon's jersey being retired by the Rams.
The Fearsome Foursome, led by Deacon Jones, wasn't a nickname. It was life. I want to introduce to you the Secretary of Defense, the greatest defensive end in the history of professional football, David Deacon Jones.
Thank you, Bruce. Everything he said is true.
The bond goes a number of years. Deacon asked Dad to present him into the Hall of Fame. And we asked Deacon to present Dad into the Hall of Fame.
My experience with George Allen began in 1966 when he was hired to lead the Los Angeles Rams out of the depths of despair. I remember walking into the locker room that first morning and seeing little signs plastered all over the place. Little sayings that you might find pasted on a grammar school wall. One-liners that seemed ridiculous. The Rams had not had a winning season since 1958, and we needed a miracle worker, not a school teacher. And that is exactly what we got, a miracle worker of the utmost degree.
Deacon's relationship with the Allen family is unique, incredible. I think George was a second father to Deacon.
George Allen died of a heart attack in 1990.
They wanted you to be a winner in life and continue to win for the rest of your lives.
One of the greatest things that could ever be bestowed on me when they asked me to be a pallbearer at the old man's funeral and accepted me as one of the family. I still think that was the highlight of my whole career.
Good man, though.
Yeah.
Super dude.
He loved you.
Yeah, he was all right. I got to give him credit.
Deacon will always be a part of the Allen family's circle of life. When my first child was born, I named him Roman, after Roman Gabriel, my first crush and a Rams quarterback. That did not sit well with Deacon.
Not a good thing at all, and since this is on television, I can't really tell you what he said.
We knew we wanted to keep Jennifer in the family, because when Deacon found out that the first son was Roman, I don't think there was any doubt number 2 was going to be Deacon.
Yoo-hoo, Deacon. Throw it to me. Oh. My Deacon is now 12 years old.
There you go, Deke. Good job.
I thought that was one of the greatest things that could happen to me. My coach's daughter named one of her kids after me.
Yeah, that's my main man there, man.
All right, Deke.
And she had enough love and respect for that.
You're the man, big guy. All right, come on, Deke. Let's go. Let's go downtown with him.
Yeah, run! Way to hit it, Deke. All right, Anton! Anton is my third son. He was born on the same day as Merlin Olsen, and his middle name is Lamar, after Lamar Lundy. To say the Fearsome Foursome has had an impact on my life is an understatement. As a child, I watched them revolutionize defensive football. As an adult, I saw them change America. Their football careers were springboards for the extraordinary lives they lived off the field. They flourished as musicians, actors.
I think I'm falling in love with you. I'm going to invite you to have dinner with me. Are you surprised?
Not half as much as you'll be when you take her home.
And in the political arena. They were businessmen.
Blue is the violet and red is the rose. If you don't drink Miller Lite, I'm gonna break your nose.
And philanthropists.
How important are your dollars?
So how do we as people try to get along? My heart is so filled with love for people. I want to make the world a better place.
They lived the American dream, but they also saw their country in despair.
I think that it was not intended that Bobby Kennedy become president of the United States.
And through it all, they remained the closest of friends.
He is like a brother, and we are like a family.
Lamar Lundy and Merlin Olsen have both passed away. The Fearsome Foursome had such a lifelong bond. But recently, I sat down with those who knew them best.
They helped each other to achieve great things.
They were almost like brothers.
It's all or nothing, and they took that to every extreme, on and off the field.
As well as Deacon and Rosie.
But for the rest of our lives, we stayed together.
To celebrate the Fearsome Foursome.
The greatest defensive line ever assembled on that football league field. We were the best that ever was.
You know, that you go out and you feel like you can take any team in the league. You just go out and play your game, you can win. And before we didn't feel like this. We felt that we might win if we're lucky. But now we don't want to be lucky. We don't go out and kick the out of somebody, you know.
I said that.
Yeah, you said that.
I said that.
You sure did.
I said that.
You sure did.
I can't believe that.
Today, Rosie Greer is a minister who speaks the word of God instead of the language of football. When he was traded from New York to Los Angeles in 1963, the Rams didn't have a prayer of being successful. They were coming off a one-win season. But Greer's arrival meant the Rams had all 4 members of the Fearsome Foursome in place. And that unit gave him something every minister treasures: hope.
What I saw was an opportunity to have a team like we had in New York. In 7 years, I played in 5 World Championship games. So I believe that with these guys, with the height they had and with the speed we had, that we were going to be devastating out on the football field.
You were so fast as a line, and I think something else that just really felt imposing to offensive lines, you all used to stand tall.
Yeah.
You wouldn't get down in a stance.
We were all 6'5", over Lamar 6'7". Why do we get down on our knees? Why don't we stand there and be looking at them when they come out of the huddle? So we didn't go in the huddle. We just stood on the line and we'd be watching them.
We're looking him straight in the eye and let him know what a bad day this is going to be for you, sucker.
The Fearsome Foursome line was enormous for that time in football. I mean, you're talking about guys that were probably 20 pounds heavier than their contemporaries at the same position.
Roosevelt Greer will own up to 285 pounds, and some think he weighs about 300.
That was still an era where there were 225-pound or 230-pound offensive guards. Whether he's a left or a right guard, if he pulls to trap, it's not going to work either way. I mean, you run into Merlin Olsen, and he's huge. So then they run the trap the other way, and Greer's even bigger.
Big and fast. Greer could catch the Kansas Comet, Gale Sayers. Lamar Lundy chased down Jim Brown. And Merlin Olsen ran like a fullback in the open field. But when it came to speed, Deacon was a few steps ahead of the rest.
Deacon at one time had a challenge race for anyone on the team. Any amount of money they wanted to bet, 50-yard dash, and he was never beaten.
And Dave Jones is in to drop him for a 17-yard loss.
He was absolutely fascinating to watch play the game. You run at him, he'd stop you. You run away from him, he'd catch you from behind. You drop back to pass, he'd eat you alive. I didn't know it was possible for a guy to do what he could do.
The only thing quicker than Deacon's feet was his right hook.
Deacon, one of your signature moves was a head slap.
Yeah.
But Rosie, is it true that you actually taught Deacon the head slap when you came from the Giants?
Absolutely. I'm going to give him credit. He said he did perfect it.
I didn't invent it. I didn't invent the head slap. I perfected it. Okay? Rembrandt didn't invent painting either.
See, that goes here. See,
Big hand.
See, that fits there. That's right. That's where it fits at. Fits right on your head.
Anytime you go upside a man's head, they have a tendency to blink their eyes or close their eyes, and that was all I needed.
Deacon rode the head slap, which was legal at the time, all the way to the Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much.
Where he had slapped his own head. But Deacon never got a big head. That wasn't allowed in this group.
It would be easy, I think, for one of the members of our unit to become jealous of the success of the other members, or to become jealous of the things that they are receiving in the way of benefits. But actually, we've managed to maintain a very solid relationship and friendship on and off the field.
They couldn't have been more different, Merlin and the other three guys. He's white, they're black. He's from a small town in Utah where he hardly ever knew a black person. They're from small towns in the South where they didn't know very many white people.
The Fearsome Foursome, I learned what it was to be a minority with this group, and I used to be the only one without a mustache. I said, you can recognize me, I'm the only one without a mustache.
It wasn't about what color you were, it wasn't about anything. It was about, are you willing to play the game?
Having a chance to live with and be close to black players has given me a new insight into the problem that black people have in our country today. You go through a football training camp with them, and you get to know a man. You get to know how he thinks, and you get to understand him. And it's something you need to win, that feeling that these are my brothers. These are my brothers. They won't let me down, and I won't let them down.
I call them uncles. They were all like uncles to me. The camaraderie they had, and they were clowns. What you saw, the ferocious guys that were on the field, they were all big kids together.
Way to go, Ro. First man, way to let the nation know you do a lot of work.
And keep that camera on him. That's the most work he's done since he's been here.
Because there was no need in bringing your ego to that group, because you get tore up. You know, there were no stars.
But there were stars in the LA Coliseum. Hollywood was showing up to see the Foursome. And the Foursome was heading to Hollywood.
They had a singing group, I guess you could call it a singing group. It was horrible.
Rosie was singing and they were dancing in the background, and Merlin was just so out of step and so bad compared to the other three.
Did you tell him that?
He knew. They told him.
Show called Shindig. Ask us to be on.
Here they are. This is horrible.
There they are.
And that's when we found out we had a problem because Merlin had no rhythm. Merlin Olsen had no rhythm, and I mean none. You know, we'd rock this way, he'd go the other way. couldn't do our temptation routines because Merlin couldn't keep up. You know, they said that about white guys, you know, no rhythm.
Boy.
They dug it up on us, Rosie.
Oh, my goodness. Is there any way I can get a copy of this? I love that.
Despite their popularity, the Fearsome Foursome's first 3 years together resulted in losing seasons. But in 1966,
Another defense.
George Allen arrived.
We want to go over all of our defenses, same as we did yesterday.
How did my dad coach you guys? Did he try to contain you, or did he just go play out sheer abandon?
No, he let us run free. You know, he wanted us to rush the passer, pressure on the quarterback. Heat, they call it. Heat. We gave him heat every down.
Their sole goal was to destroy the pass pocket. And just the terminology, it's in George Allen's notes, they were called rush men.
Recently, these four rushmen, as we call them, have put a lot of pressure on the quarterbacks, and that's one of the reasons we're winning. As far as four men go, this is the finest unit I've seen.
Under Allen, the Foursome enjoyed their first winning season, going 8-6. Expectations for 1967 were high until a preseason game against the Chiefs.
They throw a screen pass out to Mike Garrett, and I see it. I'm going after Mike Garrett. Something snapped in my back, and I think, man, someone will clip me. I'm going to get his number, because when I get up, I'm going to get him. And I turned around, and there's nobody there. My Achilles tendon is broken, and I'm lying in there. The guys came in there, and they said, we're going to go out and get you that game ball. We're down 24-3. I said, these guys, these crazy guys, said that to me. How in the world, we can't stop it, but I'm out there. Now I'm not out there, they gonna go stop them. Those guys brought me that game ball back. It was like 38-24. These guys showed me love. They went and got me that game ball. And I thought that was the most incredible thing in the whole wide world.
Little did Rosie know that he would never play again with the Fearsome Foursome. In 1967, the Fearsome Foursome had a new look.
Number 78, Roger Brown, is the newest member of the Fearsome Foursome. He replaced the injured Rosie Greer at tackle. And he replaced him with an equally effective style.
Deacon, Lamar, and Merlin, and Rosie used to always play cards together. So I sat right in Rosie's chair and played cards right along with him. And I remember Roe came in and he said, oh my God, he's got my chair even. And I knew that it hurt.
The real pain for Rosie was that he could only watch as the reshuffled Foursome enjoyed its finest season. Los Angeles yielded the fewest points in the league and won a division title. The Rams were on the rise just as Rosie's career had stalled. But Rosie has had so many adventures that Sports Illustrated once referred to him as Forrest Greer. And if life is like a box of chocolates, Rosie's has been rich with experience. As a New York Giant, he was part of the greatest game ever played. As O.J. Simpson's prison minister, he was part of the most famous trial of the 20th century. He made needlepoint cool for men, pitch products.
This Rosie's got the big towel.
This Rosie's got the quicker one.
You never played football, Bob?
Nope.
And on the entertainment stage,
You mean those are Mother Nature's own cleat marks?
and the political stage, he always seemed to be there.
Blacks and white, brown, red, and yellow, all walking together.
I want to thank Rosie Greer for that wonderfully moving invocation.
His introduction to politics came in 1968.
How did you get involved in Bobby Kennedy's campaign? It was when you were recovering, you torn your Achilles.
Yeah.
Did you know that your career was over at that point?
My career was not over. I'd never been involved in politics before. I see this young white man who had all the money in the world, and he's out campaigning to try to make things better for all people. I love that about him.
I'm standing up to be a witness for a person that I believe in, and that's Senator Robert F. Kennedy.
I could go there and stand up and help him through the crowds, sweep the floor, do anything I could.
Remember Indiana?
Yeah. Deacon and Lamar, we all got involved. In fact, we have a picture of us all riding in the car together with Bobby.
But Rosie was the only one of the three with Kennedy on June 5th, 1968, at the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles.
And to Rosie Greer, who said that he'd take care of anybody who didn't vote for him.
That night, I was supposed to take care of Ethel Kennedy because she was 6 months pregnant. Shots rang out, and she went down, I went down, covered her. And then I came up running, I came around the car, and I see this guy with the gun. They can't get him, the gun is swinging in the air, and George Plimpton is holding on to the gun hand, so I just take him by his legs, because in football, we take people by the leg, they can't go nowhere. So I pull him up on his table, I put my hand on it, my thumb under the trigger so it can't, and I just ripped it out and put it in my pocket. The ambulance came and took Bobby away, and I'm sitting on the floor, and I'm crying.
Rosie visited Kennedy at the hospital of the Good Samaritan.
Ethel hugged me and said, "My hero," and I'm saying, "There's no hero here tonight. My hero is upstairs fighting for his life."
He and Deacon attended the funeral at St. Patrick's in New York. They rode on the funeral train to Washington, D.C., and laid Kennedy to rest at Arlington National Cemetery.
After Bobby was killed, Coach Allen wanted me to come back, but I felt that if I went back, I'd spend the whole time trying to answer about the assassination, and I felt like there was too many things going wrong in my country to try to get involved and see how to help solve them. So I decided to quit playing football.
Well, why'd you do that?
I wasn't smart. I thought I could get out in the crowd and make a difference. But you see,
You can make a difference and play football too.
Yes. I didn't know that, Deke. I didn't feel that. I felt like I'd have to answer all these questions all the time about Bobby's assassination.
Well, you know we could have handled that.
Yeah, I know.
See, Jennifer, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that.
And my life crashed. For a long time after that, I cried all the time.
For all who are called to the cause of freedom, who long for lives of peace, and who yearn for a better future.
This is the first time many would say since Robert Kennedy that we've had a candidate that could change America. You knew Robert Kennedy. Do you feel that with Barack Obama?
I feel that there's the same spirit.
We are the party of Kennedy.
Were you feeling like you were seeing a part of a dream that had started at one point and now was being completed?
Yeah,
that
I'm
evening?
sitting there looking at a black man up on that stage accepting a nomination for being president of the United States of America. I mean, how could that possibly be?
I would have bet against
We never in our wildest dreams thought that it would come that far.
It's time for us to change America. Thank you.
Who be you?
Hollywood believes in typecasting.
I am looking for a little girl about so high. I'm her mother.
Named Tabitha?
Yes.
You would pay for her no-nos.
What did she do?
You should be ashamed to raise such a wicked little girl.
Deacon Jones was the big bad guy. Rowan Olsen starred in wholesome shows like Little House on the Prairie and Father Murphy. Deacon pitched beer and threatened you in the process.
And if you don't believe me, I'm gonna break your nose.
Merlin sold flowers. Deacon once appeared in an episode of The Odd Couple, but truth be told, Felix and Oscar had a lot more in common than Deacon and Merlin.
Lamar used to tell me all the time, "Hey, baby, I don't know how they ever played together. Those two, God only knows how they could have played together on the same team."
They lined up next to each other for 10 years. Merlin was the 1962 Rookie of the Year and went to a record 14 straight Pro Bowls. Deacon was a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year and earned 8 Pro Bowl honors. They both ended up in the Hall of Fame, but about the only thing they had in common was a difficult path to the NFL.
I always wanted to be an athlete. That was a desire I carried from a very young age.
When he got cut from the 9th grade basketball team, the coach said, "Listen, Merlin," he said, "I hear you're pretty good with the books." He said, "You need to give this sports thing up. You're never going to be an athlete."
Our job here at the junior high school is to develop athletes for the high school, and you're never going to be an athlete. Just, let it go.
When Merlin used to tell that story, the veins in his neck would bulge.
Merlin went on to star at Utah State, where he won the Outland Trophy as the country's best interior lineman. But the Phi Beta Kappa member never forgot the lesson he learned in junior high.
That coach was trying to take something from him that he wanted so much. Don't let anyone steal your dream.
Merlin was told he wasn't good enough. Growing up in Florida, Deacon often was told he wasn't allowed.
I didn't just hear about riding on the back of the bus. I rode on the back of the bus. I was put in jail for trying to sit down and eat a meal. I almost got hung myself down there when I was in school. I stood in front of that water hose. I remember the denials and all the nasty comments. I never went to school with a Caucasian guy. The first one I hit without the police coming after me was in the pros. Hell, I don't like holding that grudge. I really wish I could dump it, but I lived it. I got too much hate in me.
You don't have hate in you.
I got it.
You saying, you confessing that you have hate. As long as you confess it, you have it.
I got a ton of it. Yeah.
You can let all that go.
No, I can't let it go.
I think that it was quite fortunate that he had football to let that aggression and that anger out.
I got a chance to get down in there in the pit, and I got a chance to hit something. And the harder I hit, the more I released those hostilities.
Deacon focused his rage on the quarterback. He even invented a term for tackling the passer behind the line of scrimmage.
Sacking the cornerback is just like you devastate a city, or you cream a multitude of people. I mean, it's just like you put all the offensive players in one bag, and I just take a baseball bat and beat on the bag.
You have to dislike the position. It's not the guys so much. I mean, there's tons of quarterbacks who are really good friends of ours.
They talk about Fran Tarkenton.
More heroics by Tarkington.
We chased that son of a gun so much that it wasn't even funny.
He eludes Dave Jones, locates Brown at the goal line, fires, and it's another Minnesota touchdown.
I mean, we hated him. We actually hated this.
Did you hate him, Rosie?
Oh, I got to. We're playing.
Rosie, I don't see any hate in you. Did you hate him?
No, not really. I mean, he doesn't really mean that. We're playing
Vince Ferragamo is down the street. He's a really good friend of ours. Roman Gabriel, of course, has been a friend for years.
Which one do you hate the most? All quarterbacks. I don't give a damn who they are. I hate Roman Gabriel. He's on my team.
Deacon would say, "Get out of my way, I'm gonna kill you."
I'm gonna kill that mother tonight.
Bob Blanchard.
You what?
Merlin, after he knocked you down, he'd help you get up. Deacon would want to step on you.
I ain't helping you up off the ground. I'm gonna step on your hand.
I've dealt with players and played with players who felt that they could only play when they hated the guy across the line. And I thought, boy, that's tragic. I mean,
some of my very closest friends around the league are the guys that I play right opposite. We actually develop a very strong attachment.
When I told everyone I was coming to interview Merlin Olsen, they said, "Phyllis, you've never met a nicer guy." How do you maintain this congenial attitude you have?
Well, I think it's possible to separate the game on the field from the person off the field. I'm not a violent person by nature. I really detest violence in many ways. But my job requires that I do certain things. I made some commitments to doing that job as well as I possibly could, and I'm willing to crunch quarterbacks.
What do you think it was about football that most appealed to him?
The complexity of it. It wasn't a physical game for Merlin. It was more of an intellectual game.
We can either fire him up.
To me, the mental side of football and the emotional side of the game is even more challenging than the physical side of the game.
So, Ole, you just come on over a little bit.
Socrates must have had him in mind, or the Greeks did, because he was the sound mind and a sound body. God doesn't create them perfectly, but he came real close with Merlin Olsen. Was there anything as a player that he didn't do well, or that might have been a pain at a time and not always the good guy? Can you think of anything?
No.
I found it very difficult to sit here and listen to the nice things that were said about me, because I keep wanting to say and
the entire history of football, if you're going to vote for the best defensive tackle ever, you've got to consider Merlin Olsen as the guy.
And any discussion of the best defensive end has to include the man who, along with Merlin, formed football's odd couple.
The strengths of Merlin Olsen made Deacon Jones much better. The quality of the pass rush high and outside by Deacon Jones made Merlin Olsen better, because he'd force them to step up, and they couldn't step up. Why? Because Merlin Olsen was there.
Even though they had a lot of different ways of looking at the game, they could just almost read each other's minds, I think.
We were perfect together, perfect marriage.
A determined and rugged defensive star is Lamar Lundy. The giant defensive end relaxes off-season with his own children. He also works with youth groups as a teacher and instructor.
Not far from the Lamar Lundy Memorial Bridge in the small town of Richmond is the Indiana Football Hall of Fame. A large picture of Richmond's native son is near the entrance, and inside, his display covers 2 walls.
You once said that your dad found sports as a refuge growing up.
During the time that he came up, of course, there was horrible racial things. Whatever time he was playing the sports got him out of the real world and into a world where he could be equal or feel equal.
There were no equals for Lundy on the athletic fields at Richmond High School. He became the first African American to earn a football scholarship to Purdue University. And his senior year, he was MVP of both the football and basketball teams. He's also a member of the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame.
Time for only one more play. Ryan fires a pass. It's complete to Lamar Lundy in the end zone for the final touchdown of the day.
Lamar was a tight end before becoming a full-time defensive end.
Lamar Lundy intercepts.
And part-time advisor.
Deacon said that your dad was actually his mentor to walk through the NFL, to have a white coach chew him out on the field and not just go, that's it, I'm out of here.
He thought of Dad almost like not a father, but big brother or uncle. And he'd always talk about, I don't know what I would have done if it wasn't from Lemar. He called him Lemar for some reason. I have no understanding of that. But Big Lemar used to keep me straight.
But later in life, it was Lamar who needed help.
After he retired, he was struck with about 19,000 diseases. So my father was very ill. From age 30-something on, my father was dealing with serious terminal, he almost died several times.
One day, we're down in Indiana, and he said, I just want to tell you guys that I have prostate cancer. I mean, it was like, Lamar, how many other things you got? I mean, this is something you should be going crazy. He's just telling us another thing that he had. Every disease that came along, Lamar got it.
He did.
And he handled it.
Lamar was just one of those kind of jolly people. You'd call him up when he was in the hospital and he would cheer you up.
He lived with me the last 15 years of his life. The worst part of being sick is trying to get, paying for medicine. He could deal with the physical part. He had to tape his eyes closed and all kinds of things of this nature. But that wasn't the part that bothered him. He had got to the point in his life where he didn't want to ask for help. Thank God for the fact that he had these type of friends, that he didn't have to cry out for help. They knew he needed help, and they came through with it.
At one point, we had a lot of medical expenses that we couldn't cover. I was contacted by Olsen. 3 of them out there organized a Lamar Lundy benefit and had a golf tournament, and he sent me a check for $40,000.
We did a lot of things that ordinarily we wouldn't do because Lamar was going to get paid.
Merlin really didn't like going to card shows and signing autographs for money, but he would go because Lamar needed the money, and a lot of times he would have the person who paid you just give Lamar his part and tell Lamar that's what he earned. And after Lamar died, he never went to another one.
You know something I found out? When Lamar was sick over all those years, I discovered that Merlin had been sending finances to him over all those years, and I never knew that.
They loved each other. They really did. In fact, the night he died, his son called us in the middle of the night to tell us. I'm sure he didn't call too many people in the middle of the night.
I think Lamar, to the day he died, probably felt closer to those other three guys than any other three people in his life, barring his wife, barring his mother, people of that nature, but these were his best friends.
The love, genuine love, between the four of them was something extraordinary to see.
You know Merlin sell flowers today. And we want to make this clear, Tony. We made those guys.
It's a great marriage. It's a great doubles combination in tennis. You saw the magic, and to be outside and watch it is to applaud it and even be guilty of being envious that you don't have that kind of special relationship with a team of your own.
Lamar! We proved that four guys, not just during football season, but for the rest of our lives, we stayed together.
What would you do if you weren't playing football?
I never did give it a thought of what I would have done if I hadn't made it in the professional ranks. I'm going to shoot my wad. I'm going to either make it or I'm going to go and spend the rest of my life in the poorhouse.
Steve Sable, NFL Films, interviewed you in 1967 and asked you why you were a football player. If you guys look back at your life now, would you still have the same reasons? Would you still want to be a football player?
Every day of my life. Every day.
Yes.
There ain't nothing I want to be other than that.
Yep.
Same quarterback killer. Same one. I owe everything that I've accomplished to the game of football, and I love it.
Deacon Jones once said that if he had to live his life over again, he'd be a football player. Would Merlin say the same thing?
Oh, for sure. He loved every minute of it. He didn't ever want to stop.
If I had a chance to do it the way I'd like to, I'd probably play football until I was 60 or maybe even 70. It's gone very quickly. It'd be kind of nice to go back and enjoy some of those moments again, but we don't get the chance to do that, do we?
I don't think there's anything quite like it in life. Professional athletes, they have a special gift. They experience things that no one else gets to. Being on the field, having all those people cheering for you.
The fans at the closed end of the Coliseum are chanting something. We want Olsen, I believe. I think they want Olsen to come out for a final bow. One more chance, knowing it's the last chance for Olsen. Here he comes onto the field, and listen to this crowd. Thank you, Merlin. Thank you.
I can certainly see why someone would want to do it.
Merlin heard those cheers one more time at Utah State in December of 2009.
Merlin, Olsen, it was amazing. The place was rocking.
It was pretty unbelievable.
Lots of emotions going on there, for sure.
I'd never experienced anything like that. To stand next to him and hear those people chanting his name, it was pretty unbelievable, really. And to have my children there. Yeah, I can't. Because it was
neat.
Amazing. Yeah.
From this night forward, when our football team walks onto the field, it will be Merlin Olsen Field.
It was very important for him to make it to that game and to let them know how honored he felt by them honoring him.
I was proud of him, but I was really sad, too.
But he really did summon some strength that day.
Do you feel like he was seeing his life come full circle in a way, coming back home?
I hope not, but probably. He knew he was dying.
1, 2, 3, go!
Merlin died of cancer before his statue was unveiled at the football stadium. At the base of the statue is a mission statement Merlin had written.
A month before he passed away, we actually found that mission statement, Jill and I did, when we were going through some folders. It just sounds like him. I can hear him saying it.
The focus of my life begins at home with family, loved ones, and friends. I want to use my resources to create a secure environment that fosters love, learning, laughter, and mutual success. I will protect and value integrity. I will admit and quickly correct my mistakes. I will be a self-starter. I will be a caring person. I will be a good listener with an open mind. I will continue to grow and to learn, and I will facilitate and celebrate the success of others.
It didn't surprise me at all that he had written something like that. But I realized that it is something quite unique, that most people don't write a mission statement for their lives.
He didn't just pop this down on a piece of paper, in a couple of hours. I mean, he thought about this, and probably for years, but he believed this. He lived this, and that, I think, is the legacy of his life.
We want to live a life that is an example to others. Merlin is an example of a young man who you used to touch lives. It's just amazing, the friendship that carried us over all these years. And I just so happy to have been able to play with the Fearsome, Foursome, but to spend time and to know Merlin.
Okay, Rosie, this is track number 1.
Tape is rolling.
When Bobby Kennedy was killed, a friend of mine named Bobby Womack, he wrote this song.
Oh, yeah.
I said at that time that I was going to sing this song.
We make the world by the life we lead.
Until I can get the whole world to sing it.
The friends we have.
The thing I miss most about the game is the people, the very special people. It's a life you come to love, you share with friends.
We show in the hour of care. The load we lift and the love we share. What people make the world what it is. Oh yes, we make the world and there we live. Oh yes.
So many years from now, guys, when my sons are naming their sons Rosie and Deacon and Merlin, Lamar, what should they be telling their sons about who these men were, and why should they be proud to bear these names?
If you were to ask one of them about why should I name my child after you, I think they'd probably all say the same thing. If you do, you better let that child know that we're setting the bar very high for them. That we don't care what they do in life, but whatever they do, they need to do it with every fiber of their being to be the best that they can possibly be.
We were the best at what we did. That's what he's got to know. And along with that comes being the best that he can be. And it don't necessarily have to be sports.
I want to thank Jennifer Allen for bringing the young Deacon in, a guy that you better watch out for.
Hey, look here, yeah, please have some fun.
You'll see that same fire burning deep in his eyes at some point in his life.
That's my man. That's my man.
One of my father's favorite sayings was, "The future is now." I'm not sure what the future holds for my 3 sons, but I do know that they have 4 extraordinary role models.